Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
Powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Intellectual stew.
informative and inspirational. How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.
Intellectual stew with James.
All right, what's up? What it do? It's time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew with yours truly, James Kirkland. And I am not alone tonight, but I do have a couple of guests with me tonight. A couple of weeks ago, when we had our show, when we've been dealing with this series called "Show Us How to Date You," we had an all-female panel for 3 weeks in a row, and then 2 weeks ago, because of Memorial Day, we didn't do a show last week. We had an all-male panel, and we got a really good response. So I wanted to come back tonight. The only drawback I had, I'm gonna bring Mark in first, and then we'll go from there. Am I not live? Make sure I'm not live. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right, let me bring Mark in first. What's up, Mark?
Hey, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I ran into some technical difficulties, man. I don't know what. I don't know if my USB cord's not working or what, but I can't get my microphone to give me any sound, so I'm having to use my backup mic. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're coming in loud and clear.
All right, good. So, Mark, you got a lot of feedback last time, so we wanted to. Yeah, you did. And I appreciate that. So, because I like people who bring value to the conversation. What's up,
Right.
Ashley? So, I wanted to bring you back tonight and get some more insight from you, if you don't mind. And once your friend jumps in, I'll go ahead and bring him on in as well. Is he gonna be able to do it tonight?
Yeah, he'll be running about. He might be back in about 3 minutes.
All right, cool.
Should be there in 3 minutes.
All right, cool. All right, so those that are in the chat that are looking, y'all go ahead and start sharing this, and we'll get this going. I got two other people. Now, only drawback we had last week, Mark, was they said that I had people that were too old. They said I had some people tell me they wanted to get some younger people and some people who hadn't been married, people who might be not quite be as experienced. So I wanted to get some of those people in as well. So I got some 20s, I got a 20 something and I got a 30 something. So I'm going to bring them in. Jalen, go ahead and show me your face, and George, go ahead and show me your face. I'm going to bring y'all on in now if you don't mind. George, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
Man, good. Tell everybody who you are, man. Let me get Jalen too right quick first. Hold on. All right, Jalen, what's up, young man?
What's going on?
Looking like your daddy. Looking like your daddy. Actually, that's Reggie's son. That's coming in. So that's we got Jalen in. So first of all, George, tell us who you are, and we're gonna get this conversation started.
My name is George. I'm 23 from New York. I'm pretty much raised down here though in Atlanta.
All right.
I graduated from Columbus State December 2020. I currently work as an officer for DeKalb County. So
Okay. All
that's
right.
pretty
Cool.
much.
Jalen, tell us who you are, young man.
Yeah, so I'm 21. I'll be a senior at Morehouse College
All right.
in the fall, and I've been in Atlanta for about all my life between here and South Carolina. So
Okay. And Jalen's a Morehouse man, and he's doing a whole lot of activist type things as well in the city, and he's really into the political scene. So we're gonna make sure we kind of stay behind Jalen and push him and all those things. But all of you all in the chat, let's go ahead and get this conversation started now. Mark, man, I put this this post on Facebook. You too, George. I put this post on Facebook earlier today, right? And I said, ladies, give me some questions to ask the men. Now, what the name of the overall topic of the show is show us how to date you, right? So show us how to date you. And we have, and then I got like a subtopic, and I called it fellas, we have some explaining to do. Now that's for shock factor, right? That's just to get you to come on to the show and say that we really don't owe you any explanations.
Hello.
Okay, so let's get that understood from the jump. I just said, fellas, we have some explaining to do. But some of the questions, did you get a chance to look at my wall, Mark? What's up, Corey? You're muted, Mark, if you're talking.
I said I can go to it now. I didn't get a chance to look at it. I've been traveling, just flew in from Boston.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, man, because Mark jumped right off of a plane and came onto the show. So I super appreciate you for that, Mark. But I want you to look at that, George. If you get a chance, George, if you can click on my page for a hot second. Hey, Jackie. Hey, how you doing? Go ahead and look at some of those comments as well. I mean, some of those questions, because some of them are valid questions, and they're all valid questions. But if the show is called "Show Us How to Date You," some of those questions, I don't want to sound negative, but don't they almost sound like an interrogation?
Let's see.
And don't call no names. We ain't gonna call no names. If anybody want to go to my page, they can see it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are pretty good. Hey, Lisa, what's going on? Lisa, we're talking about, even though I say fellas, we have some explaining to do. We really don't have to explain anything, but we're just having a conversation tonight. And the conversation has to deal with men and women learning how to better communicate with each other so that we can make dating more effective. If dating is more effective, then possibly we'll start wanting to get married again. And if we get married again, then we can build the family again. And then if we build the family again, then once we build the family, then we can build our community again. That's kind of where I'm going with this whole thing, right? So when I ask you for questions, I'm not really doing it for us to be in. Do you see the tenure of the conversation, man? The temperature of the conversation? What are you gathering when you read those questions? And I'm going to ask some of them, don't get me wrong, but I want to see what your thoughts are. Jalen, do the same thing. Jalen, if you would, go to my page too. And I want to get your interpretation of those questions. I see you, Otis. Otis says some of those questions are trap questions.
I mean they are, but I feel like they're subjective.
Okay.
You want an answer that's a catch-all answer, and you can't do that. Some things is about chemistry. It's about the flow of that relationship. So just because these things may work for me, you got to understand what you're working with in your situation. Some of them are very broad. Some of them are questions. I feel like I'm trying to answer questions from a previous relationship that you had, and why we went wrong with him. That wasn't me. So I can't help you with that.
I'm about to speak into it right there. No.
Yeah, you what you need to do is break up with that last situation so you can meet your husband.
I'm sorry, Nick. Yeah. George, you see that?
Yeah. So
I definitely see these questions.
What do you think? If you're let me put it like this: if you're getting ready to start dating someone, right? You're in the getting to know you stage, and that's what dating is, right? dating is a getting to know you stage. If you're in the getting to know you stage and you're interrogated with some of those questions, how would you respond as a 23-year-old young man?
I probably lose interest.
You lose interest? Okay.
Yeah, it's because a lot of these questions is, I mean, well, some of them, okay, but a lot of them was just kind of attackish, like you're just coming out of our head, but
okay, I didn't
that's
say
just
it, Jalen.
Yeah,
Did you get a chance to look at look at the questions on my page?
yeah, and I feel like some of these questions, like some other panelists said, it's more or less, is this a job application or is it I definitely see some of these questions though. I can understand some of them, like they do have valid points, but other ones I have different opinions on.
Okay, so that's the question. That Jalen, you introduce an interesting paradigm, and we're gonna get to some of your questions, ladies. But we're going to let us men have a conversation. We let y'all have a conversation. I kind of facilitated it, but I still asked y'all a question. So dating. When we're dating, we're getting to know each other. We're getting to know each other. All this kind of stuff. And but when do the questions start to deepen? By what date? You understand what I'm saying? When do we start to put some depth on those questions? Because it seems like George, come on, unmute yourself, George.
gotcha.
Because you're younger, so you're used to dating more so than I am. I was married for 20 years, so dating has changed. For us, you know what I'm saying, the way things have changed. So for you, if you're feeling a young lady, right? When do those questions start to deepen?
As in, like when should those be asked? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. About what date? Second date, third date? Man, when does the interview take place? And hold on, what's your homeboy's name? Mr. Rashad, right?
You said
Mark.
who? Oh.
Mark, your homeboy, what's his name? Rashad. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bring him in too. Hold your answer, George. I'm gonna bring Mark in. Bring Rashad in. Hey, Mr. Hunt, how you doing, sir?
What's going on? How you doing, gentlemen?
Man, we are doing well. Everybody is here. We're discussing this whole dating aspect. I told them that we said this whole fellas, we have some explaining to do. That's really a trap. Really a trick. We don't have to explain anything, to be honest with you. But we're just having a conversation and let you know what we like. Prior, you just became familiar with us, but 3 weeks when I started this whole series of Show Us How to Date You, I had women on. And I didn't, and we just listened. We listened. They told us what they like. We listened. I didn't let us argue. I didn't let us fuss. We just listened, right? So this is what we're doing these couple of weeks now. I put some questions. I put a disclaimer, a filler out there today for some questions for that they wanted me to ask you guys tonight. And some of those questions got a little. Some of the fellas said they felt a little attackish. You know what I'm saying, with some of the questions. If you go to my page, you can see that. But some of the questions that they're asking, those are questions that you might want to ask 10 dates in, or 5 dates in, or 6 dates in. But George, come on back. I want you to answer that question that I was getting ready to ask you. At what point do some of those questions? I mean, because give me this. What is the first couple of dates? What are the conversations like for you, George?
Well, the first couple of dates, they usually just getting to know each other, just figuring out what you like to do, what food you enjoy, stuff like that, just so we can hang out and do different activities and stuff together. Now, as for the other questions, those come in a little later as you get like really getting deep into getting to know each other, know that person. Because the first is just you're attracted to the person, you want to get to know them, whatnot, and you offer to take them out, whatnot. So you just not necessarily grooming, but just getting to know them. But the rest of that should just be asked, a little later, deeper down as y'all are getting serious.
Okay.
Because dating is just you just getting to know people, experiencing new things and whatnot. But if you ask all that in the beginning, it's gonna make it a little weird, like you're a little desperate for a little relationship.
Same question for you, Jalen.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I think the first couple of dates is more or less like a like high level overview of the person. So nothing too deep. Like don't tell me no family trauma, nothing like that. The first couple of dates, and I think honestly, it's just like building a safe relationship. Nothing too like not giving away information that you give someone that you trust, but I think just like a You build a friendship just to see if you like this person, not even like in a romantic way, just like as a friend first. And then, obviously as those dates progress, the conversations become more intentful.
That's good. That's good. All right, Mark, I'm coming to you. But let me give you a scenario first, Mark. I remember I was in the car business for a lot of years, selling cars, finance, different things of that nature, right? And so you kind of build yourself in a wall, kind of box yourself in, doing the same thing over and over again. So I thought about coming out of my career and changing fields. So I was invited to a mixer, for this company that I was thinking about getting a job with, right? And so when I got to that mixer, everybody was just talking, just talking, just talking. Everybody having a little glass of wine, drinks, shaking hands, mingling, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the event was over. It was over. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I thought it was supposed to be an interview. You know what I'm saying? But little did I know it was an interview because they wanted to see how I interacted with certain people. And once they saw how I interacted with certain people, then they invited us back for the second interview, right? So I'm equating that to dating. On the first couple of dates, Mark, how is your process as far as getting to know a young lady?
I mean, my thing is at the stage where I'm at is it's about compatibility. I'm saying if when we're conversing, that she has a good sense of humor, uh, is our foundation relatable? Kind of like Jalen said, I don't want to hear about your traumas, anything else like that, because that's what your shrink is for. And I don't want you to put that on me. Not especially not in the beginning. You need to go to a professional with that. So, but that stuff will come down later if I see you as that woman to be serious with and take on those responsibilities emotionally. But initially, man, can you make me smile when I get off a hard day at work? Man, are you somebody I want to come to for some peace or relaxing or having a good time with? That's what I'm looking for in the first couple of days. Do I got to hang with my boys all the time because you're not fulfilling? Like, I need that woman who kind of creates that balance in my life at that point. That's what I'm looking for. Natural.
Okay. Rashad.
For me, it can be a number of things.
Okay.
It can be, I don't try to get too caught up in that feeling. We've all met that woman before where it's like, oh my God, this feels so great. And then you get into date 5 or 6 and you're like, okay, this was a show that I had for date 1 and 2 to bait me in. So I try to have what I call meaningful conversation very early.
Okay.
um, what is it that you do? How does that equate to the future that you're looking at for yourself? Just some, for me, it's some simple questions can cut you out pretty quickly, right? If you're super duper career oriented, that's all you talk about is work, 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 work. I already know from day one that my window in your life is going to be very small. So I try to stay away from a lot of those conversations and just have fun, right?
Okay.
Just like feel each other. Let's kick it. Let's laugh. Let's joke. Let's play. Because a lot of people will put on those first 2 or 3 dates, and you really don't see that real person till date 6 or 7. So the first couple of dates are always going to be, are we having fun? Right? Am I laughing? Are you smiling? Are you having a good time? If we're around just some common friends, how do you interact with them? Are you a good time with them? Those are the basics for me to get through those first couple of dates to even look at a date 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Man, that's real good. That's real good. And I think, Rashad, that's the mistake. I mean, I think, and y'all correct, and please, Mark, please, Rashad, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think sometimes so many people are in love with the idea of being in love, and
Yes,
they've seen so many other people's relationships, and they think that there's a template for a relationship, right? And you're supposed to automatically be that. But they don't realize the equity that a person put in, or that a couple put in to get that. You understand what I'm saying? To
exactly.
get, yeah, to get where
Exactly.
they are. I mean, tell me, Mark, what you think about that part?
Uh, I think a lot of people they look at a, a a rock in the river, right?
Hmm.
And then you know how smooth it becomes a rock in the river. But when that rock was first first there, it was rigid, and it took that water running over it and over it, time to time,
Yeah.
to make it smooth out like that. And once it's smoothed out, those areas in the river, they flow smoother. But the newer rocks in the river, you see that rigid, that chaos going over there. But we all want to get to that smooth part, and that does take time. People want that instantly. And don't get me wrong, you had those kindred spirits, that those connections and stuff like that. But the maintenance of it, the maintenance of the relationship, that investing and it comes to invest into that situation. That's what you got to look at, not the end product, but what is the process itself.
Absolutely.
And some people don't want to invest into the process. The funny part is, in our jobs, what we get paid to do, we are constantly updating ourselves on policies, procedures, and everything else. What we pay to do, you got to do the same thing in your relationships.
Absolutely.
You got to constantly reinvest into your relationship and become the CEO of your relationship or the CIO of your relationship. You need to see those are things you want to do, especially emotional maintenance in your relationship.
That's good.
Understanding how to manage that.
Emotional maintenance. Y'all write that down. Let me put that in the chat. Ladies, emotional maintenance. And we're gonna talk about that because a lot of women make this statement. And like I said, listen, ladies, we're not fighting again tonight. Ain't nobody pointing the finger. We're communicating. That's all we're doing. We listen to y'all, we talking, so we just communicate. Just communicate. But I always hear this terminology that men aren't emotionally available. Men aren't emotionally available. Men aren't emotionally available. George, I have a question for you, sir. Should men be emotionally available for everybody?
I would say no, not at all. It's kind of hard for. I'm not sure how it is in the older generation, but I know
You ain't gotta
nowadays.
call us old, bro. Come on,
I'm
dude.
sorry. I'm sorry. You know,
Come on, man.
I'm sorry. No, but in our generation, I can say like when you open up to a woman emotionally and say that don't work out, all of her friends know.
Wow.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Everybody knows what you was going through, or however you spit it to her that you was feeling. So it's kind of hard for most guys to open up to the ladies, and then it kind of brings a problem because they obviously we're not being emotionally available, we're not being open to them, but most of the time it's hard to. I mean, I know I've done it. I can be honest, I've done it. So
That's that. Man, Jalen?
I mean, yeah, I agree. Especially, I think with younger generations, I feel as if if you were to open up to like a woman now, I feel like you almost be approached of like there's something wrong with him, like I have to fix him. So then you don't have a girlfriend, you have somebody trying to be your mom, or like somebody trying to be someone that's just not my opinion. Like I just want you to sit there and listen, like not try to fix me or anything like that. Sometimes as men, we just want somebody to talk to as well and express ourselves. So I definitely think that opening up to women, although it sounds good, like in reality, it's not the best practice.
Man, how old are you again?
I'm 21.
Did you hear what he said, Rashad? He
He-
said if you open up emotionally too soon, she's gonna look at you as a project, and she's gonna try to fix you, and she's gonna try to mother you. And you didn't say that, but I'm paraphrasing a little bit. She's gonna try to mother you. Is there any truth? Is there any validity to that statement, ladies? Help me out here, because this is a 21-year-old man talking now. That was deep what you just said, young. Boy, this generation, all right. Boy, hey, this next generation, all right. You running for president or mayor? Which one you gonna do? Man, I like that.
So to piggyback off of Jalen though, because I'm 35. I'm far, but not that far. And I tend to, I guess, some of the circles that I end up running in, I do come across some younger women, and I can tell you 1,000%, I will stand on this. That is how it goes, right? Because we can have this argument that, and understand this. Let me say this as a preface first, right? I do not participate in gender wars. Okay, I'm not a man that's against women. I don't need women arguing with men. We look at things differently. It is what it is. Okay, that's what makes the yin and the yang go. But when it comes down to something, one of the biggest arguments you see on social media, especially for younger people, just to make it more relevant for you, to make it make sense, is the back and forth between a Future and what you consider a Russell Wilson, right? So when we look at it from where I grew up, two-parent home, right? I'm told that you're supposed to be able to express yourself verbally. You're supposed to be able to put into words how you're feeling. It's not supposed to be a violent act. It's not supposed to be an attitude. You're not supposed to walk around with these things on you, right? So growing up in that home, you're taught that. And then you go out into the world and you get around people and women and all of these things in these situations, and you go out and you act on what you've been taught, and they look at you like, oh, he's soft, or oh, he's sensitive, or oh, he's so-and-so. And it's because you can actually verbally put into words, hey, I didn't like when you did X, Y, and Z. Can you please not do that again? So now it's I'm sensitive rather than no, what you did was disrespectful and I didn't like it. And I would like for you to change that behavior, right? So where they get away with this whole, we'll say the other side of the fence, the guys who act like the rappers, the Futures and all of this, right, who they say are emotionally unavailable, right? These guys come from places 9 times out of 10 that weren't two-parent homes, that weren't extremely loving, who you had a heart in your heart to be able to survive as a man. A man is going to always, if he's a real man, any ecosystem he falls within, he's going to find a way to survive, right? Survival is our baseline. So when you function in survival mode, you can't give somebody a one-up on you. When we talk about business, right, as businessmen, we go into meetings and we talk to other men and we keep all emotions out of it. I don't want you to see an emotion on my face. I don't want you to know if I'm happy about the deal, I'm sad about the deal, if I feel a certain way about the deal. That's how I am, right? So a lot of these younger women want you to come into it like that. And it turns into a project because you have a man who is incapable, right, of expressing what it is that he feels, how he feels. One, because you have one man who has been chastised for that. And then on the other hand, you have a man who has not been taught that, right? So we're not saying that either one is wrong, right? This is just the hand that these men were dealt. So when we talk about how women deal with that, right? If you make it a place where it's not combative, it's not argumentative, it's, hey, what's really going on with you? And I can tell you these things, right? And just like he said, you're not finna get in that group chat. You're not finna go on that phone and, girl, he's sitting up here talking about he's stressed, girl, and I got this and I got that. Because one thing about it is, I tell women all the time, I hang out in a very diverse group of women, right? Mm-hmm. And I tell them all the time, stop telling each other all of your business about the men that you're dealing with. Because what happens is those women automatically, right? They met me once. Oh, he's a great guy. He's handsome. He does this. Oh, he's great. And as soon as you start telling them those little tidbits about me, guess what happens? Those homegirls get the, girl, he ain't work. You need to move on. And girl, I would have told him so-and-so and yada, yada. So now this isn't the way that you feel as my woman, but these are the thoughts that are being put into your head, right?
Absolutely.
So just to sum it up, we have to be careful, right? I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying to go out here and give your all. But what I am saying is be careful. We just talked about dates. If we're on date 5 or 6, I might not need to tell you about a stress that I have going on at this moment that is important to me that my woman might need to know about because you're not ready for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of times, I'm coming to you next, Mark, so you can elaborate on what he just said. Okay. I think a lot of times people want girlfriend privileges, want wife privileges and girlfriends, and they want girlfriend privileges before we've started really dating. I think that happens. I think that happens a lot. Valencia, I saw you made a statement a minute ago. You said some men are taught survival and not love. Some women are taught survival and not love. I mean, and actually, I could break it down historically to show you how women are taught more so survival than love. Because they teach from a place that's of protection, or from a place of, I'm not gonna let you get my son like you got my husband. I could break this whole conversation down, but like I said, I'm not gonna do the point the finger back and forth thing, or what y'all. Some of these conversations, when they start with the y'all stuff, it makes me cringe a little bit. It really does, and I don't want to cringe. I don't want to cringe because when I hear y'all, I hear finger pointing, and if I see finger pointing, then I see us in the same place that we've been stuck in for the last 20 years. Let me tell y'all something, and I'm not jumping on my soapbox right now. I'm really not. Yes, I am. The black family is under attack. It is under attack. I'm doing a show tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Those that are available, I'm going to have a professor on from Sacramento State in California. We're going to talk about the black family being under attack. The black family is under attack, and who they use is us to divide us. And we keep being pawns in the game by playing this point the finger rightist stuff. Like I was talking about, some of those questions today that we got, some of the questions that y'all were asking, hell, y'all won't even answer those questions. So why would you ask us those same questions? I mean, some of the stuff you're asking us like we're being interrogated or like you are the FBI. And black men, we don't like being interrogated by nobody. You put me and George, you in that field. Do your people like to be interrogated?
No, of course not.
So ladies, a man does not want to be interrogated. If he's pursuing you, leave breadcrumbs. Let's talk. Like Jalen said, let's be friends. Like Rashad said, let's have fun. Mark, what would you tell women when they're trying to get to know a man in the beginning? I mean, because you already said you got to be his peace. When you come home, you don't want no. I mean, I think I gave y'all an analogy a couple weeks ago. Men use 7,000 words a day. Women use 20,000 words a day. We use ours wisely. Go ahead. But Mark, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say? Go ahead and talk.
I mean, Rashad and I, we kind of grew up in the same area, different ways, the same area. So we share some of the same philosophies. So I don't want to piggyback on anything he said. But I would say, be what you ask for when you're dating. If you're a loving person, be loving. If you're an affectionate person and you want affection from a man, be affectionate. Be what you ask. The thing is, when we put up walls, understanding works two ways. You can't see me for everything that I am, and nor can I see you for what you are. Take those walls down and show me who you are. And you have to break up with your past to see your future. So, and that's the thing I would say. That's the only thing I would say in that approach. I want to elaborate. Shad had a lot to say, so I did, he was hitting a lot of meat and potatoes. So that's the little tidbits that I would say.
Let me read this comment right here. That's good. That's good, Mark. He said, we refer to men as boys when they exhibit boyish behavior, but we have to be honest. Many women are girls for a long time as well. Many women exhibit girlish behavior. It seems the majority of men on the panel deal with girls, not women. But we're not necessarily saying who we're dealing. That's not true. I feel you though, but that's okay. Go ahead, Mark. I'm gonna let you have it.
Let's not degrade.
That's the part I don't like.
Themselves, like, y'all, you hear that like, oh, y'all just picking the wrong ones. That's y'all problem. All this other stuff. I tell women all the time, you don't know your girlfriend. Your friend that you think you friends with, you ain't dated her. You don't know how to be in a relationship with her. Exactly. So speak for yourself. The thing is, right, and we all are work in progress. Man, all right. We all are work in progress. So no matter how mature you want to say you are, you still have childish behavior that we're constantly growing in. You have vices that you're still getting over, different things like that. But at the end of the day, I would say there is a responsibility on all parts, men and women, to the responsibility about who we allow in our life, right? And then we got to do a better job with the people and protect our emotions. Like we said, going back to the point, we got to protect our emotions from people we know that mean us no harm. And we got to start, and men and women, we have to start dating what we need versus what we want. And when we start dating what you need, I think our conversations will start to change. Because we got to find that balance of what we want. When I'm younger, even though we're in a different age group, George, like, I still was in that age group, and nothing's changed. Nothing changed. Maybe the technology where you have a group chat, but that group chat used to call three-way. They'll call the other homegirl on three-way. She'll call the other homegirl on three-way, and everybody was talking on their phone. It is what it is. Nothing's really changed, but what we do need to change is the mindset when you go into relationships. We need to understand the dynamics of relationships, right? And And I'm not saying role in general roles, but the influence we have in relationships. Like I said, women, men, we are physical, right? I tell people all the time, like, and I'm not trying to say giving heaven like you're a Christian or not. We all trying to get to this place, like to the city, right?
Hmm.
And we're trying to get to the city. And whatever you read, your spiritual Bible or whatever your doctrine you use to guide yourself, it takes you to that city. A man is built strong, and he's able to carry anything, or he carry his family, he'll do anything. But a woman is the steering wheel. That Bible is the guidelines to get you there, but a woman's the steering wheel. The influence
Absolutely.
she
Let's say it
has in
again.
his life, it may not be the biggest in stature, but his influence in that vehicle, it could drive it right off the road, or it can keep it in between the lines. And we gotta understand who we allow
That's
to be
good, Mark.
behind our steering wheels in
That's
life.
good, Mark. That's
So,
good. That's dang good. Lisa. I like that. Lisa said, "I'm not about to run down a list of questions to any man that I'm dating. I feel like if the interest is there, those questions will be answered in conversations we have. Honestly, if you have first conversation with me, if your first conversation, excuse me, honestly, if your first conversation with me includes, so tell me about yourself, I'm immediately turned off. That is so cliche and boring. Now, that's her. That's her. That's what she feels about it. And
hmm
that's okay. With
hmm
all these billions of people in the world, do y'all realize that we all have a distinct fingerprint? So if we all got different fingerprints, we can have different ideologies. We can have different mindsets. We can, yeah. Valencia, ask all your questions. Now, if you ask that many questions you asked earlier today, I promise you, it's going to be tough. I'm not. I mean, I'm a man. I'm not answering those questions. I might answer out of all those questions. I might answer one or two of them, especially unless we've been dating for a while. Because the name of the show is "Show Us How to Date You," not show us how to maintain a relationship. That's later on in the future. So we're talking about the beginning stages of dating. What do you all ladies want to know from men to better? Because let me give you an example. Rashad, women will ask a question and say something like, and I'm not pointing the finger. I'm not. They say, what makes a man not want to ask a woman? Jay, I'm gonna ask you and Rashad, both of y'all, and George, you wasn't here last week. Uh, what makes a man not want to ask you out?
As let's get some clarification because I know they probably gonna ask some questions too. So you mean as far as we know each other maybe mutually and there maybe was an attraction, or is it just I just so happened to cross you in the aisle at Kmart or where? Oh, see, I'm telling
Whatever,
my
whatever. No, we ain't gonna put no stipulation on it.
okay.
What makes you not ask a woman out? I mean, it's a simple question. I mean, we ain't got to go deep on this one. We're gonna stay in the kiddie pool. What makes you not ask a woman out?
I'm gonna let them go first.
Okay, Jalen, you go first.
I think one of the most important things I look at is that if I see that she's extremely accessible, that will make me not want to ask her out. And I say extremely accessible, I mean like, um, you know, just obviously if I know this person like just a little bit, but I really haven't got. If I see that you're always available for other people, or you kind of have like a busy type spirit, that would actually kind of make me have some drawbacks, just because I feel like it's important to be intentional with the people you talk to, especially the people that you have around you. So sometimes you also have to be careful that some people don't necessarily want to be like they don't want to date you. They just want to be wanted, or they want to feel pursued. So that's some of the things I look out for.
Okay, that's good. George, same question.
I agree with what Jalen said, and also I'm not the biggest person on social media, but I do realize, like, as you follow women on social media, they tell a lot who they are.
Mm.
They tell who they are, what they're looking for, and most of them in our generation, they want to be flown out, treated all nice and stuff like that. But they're not there to support you at all. They're just there to support your money, pretty much. Um, and a lot of them just want just that Instagram look of a relationship, and they don't want a relationship and put in the actual work and what it takes to build a relationship. So um, that's a lot to. It's something I look out for a lot.
Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mark, and then we're gonna come on to you, Rashad.
yeah, I want to say what Rashad. I'm actually saying up more for Rashad. Rashad, like, what you just said. Like, this generation, they had that future Russell Wilson comparison.
Yeah.
and every woman wants to be treated like a queen and everything else. What they don't talk about is what did Sierra do to make her had his man to treat her like a queen? What is her actions behind closed doors? How is she catering to that man? How is she what I'm saying, lifting him up? They don't like everybody, like a lot of, and when I see that comparison with the Russell Wilson, all I hear is about how Sierra's treated, but no one talks about what changes she's made or things she's done to have a man treat her like that. I think, and like what George was saying, a lot of these young women want to be flown out and everything else like this. Well, the women that you watching get flown out, uh, why guys flying them out? I mean, it's a reason they've been flying out. Do you want to stand behind that reason? And if you do, act accordingly. But like I said, I was just going off really what you said, Rashad, really about that. I just want to touch on that because I was like, yo, that's a good point. But nobody just talks about the woman. A lot of women love talk about what they deserve, but what about the seeds you're planting and what you're building to get to that? It's a lot of instant gratification, and like in dating, I mean, like what makes me not even want to talk to a woman. I know some women, especially me being older, and George, y'all watch out. But as older women, they didn't have made some bad choices in life. They've dated Pookie and everybody else, and
And now
now they want a real man. And all of a sudden, you've been dating all these trash dudes, and all of a sudden you wake up and say, I deserve a good man. And all of a sudden you think you're supposed to get great woman treatment. No, your pedigree is dating trash. So I need you to reinvest into yourself when you know how to treat a man. Because if you start treating me like them, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I am not working my way up for anybody. I am not here to prove anything. So it's all about your approach too.
That's
So
good, Ezra. That's good. That's good. No, keep talking. I was talking about. I need to mute myself because sometimes I be talking to the comments and y'all can't hear.
nah. So I just wanted to set up. I know Shy, you about to hit him with it, but I
Get him
just
to a shot. Bow, body blow, uppercut. No, we're not fighting. We're not fighting. Fill a fight. Fill a fight. Fill a fight.
So you kind of gotta understand. I was invited to this platform because me and Mark, when I mean weekly, like I just to give you just a quick little background on me, like even at 35, even for these young guys on here, he said he's 21. I don't know how old George is, but
23.
23.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta think about it. At 21 and 23, I'm gonna tell you right now, I was having the time of my life. I was a very fit, in shape, around athlete. I'm around these things. Understand that women don't want men who aren't doing something, right? You have to be doing something to be able for that woman to be able to brag about you, right? That's why when we talk about men, we talk about the top 10% of men. We talk about how much you earn. We talk about what's your job, where do you drive, where do you live, right? Because these are a byproduct of success. Okay, so a byproduct of success of being an athlete is what? You make it to the next level. Once you get to the top level, the only thing they can do after that is what? Overly pay you, right?
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's one of the greatest athletes on the planet, and we keep seeing every year his wealth just grows like crazy, right? So it's a byproduct of success. So a lot of times what happens is we get in these places as men where we kind of get down on ourselves and we're thinking these things and we're these back and forth. And me and Mark, we work through a lot of that things. Just through simple conversation with somebody who's been there before and
Mm-hmm.
a younger guy who can actually say, okay, this is where I'm at now. How do I get past this? And it's not saying, okay, I need my homeboy to tell me how to survive or how to live. It's no. Sometimes talking to somebody who's already been through something can save you 2 or 3 steps that you don't have to go through.
Mm.
Right. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate you guys are even having this conversation and
Oh, bro,
putting
we're gonna have it every
forward
week.
platforms. So, but to answer your question though, is for me is really simple, and it changed for me probably about 2 years ago. I will not ask a woman out if I do not feel like the interest is mutual from jump.
That's the key.
From jump,
That's
right?
the only answer.
We know there's you get to a point where you get a little older and you get around enough women and you do this enough that there's choosing signals, right? There's the accidental bump. There's the, oh, what you drinking when you sit down at the bar. There's the, oh, is anybody sitting here? Oh, now you are. Okay, these are all choosing signals that I'm going to go off of. So now I don't have to worry about, am I taking this woman to this 4-star restaurant and I'm about to spend whatever I'm about to spend, and it's just another picture on your Instagram today, right? We get away with a lot of these things because we're starting to talk about mutual interest, and it piggybacks off of what Mark said. Like, you know, if we're not on that, if we're not vibing at all, what are we doing here? Now we're forcing. Now I'm on an audition to say, let me take care of you. Let me show you what I have. Let me show you what I can do, right? Yeah. And that's not how it was meant to be, right? We're in 2020. It's a different time. It's totally different. That traditional stuff is out the door. Those days are over with. They're gone. Let's not look at it. But like you said, I understand that there is a war against Black couples, the Black family. They do not want to see a Black man and a Black woman together living in a home with successful Black children. They don't want to see that. So at any point, they're going to put any toxicity out there that they can.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
I'm a numbers guy. And to understand that only 10% of American men make over $100,000 a year. And then let's go down to $80,000, that only like 13 or 15% of men make over $85,000, right? So now what happens is, and I'm putting in perspective for you, you have 80% of women in America trying to date 15% of men. Somebody's going to get the short end of the stick.
Absolutely. It's a numbers game. We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can't say, well, why don't you want to take me to dinner? Why don't you want to so-and-so? Well, guess what? If it was a mutual thing and you made me feel on the inside, I want to take this woman to dinner. Not I have to take this woman to dinner. I want to take this woman to this place. Now I have to take this woman to this place, right? Because as men, we're supposed to have requirements too. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Right? Never apologize for that. So as a man, when you don't have requirements, a woman will look at you like, oh, you'll just do anything, right? But if a woman says, well, I have requirements, right? And I don't know about you guys, but we've all been through this. A woman tell you she has requirements, and then you go look at a dude she's dating, and you be like, whoa, there's no way it met the requirements, right? So the best thing I can tell you about that whole when should we be doing this and doing that is when it's 1,000% mutual, because a woman's nature is she's gonna do the best that she feels like she can do in any situation. So if she feels like she can do better than you that is 21 and working a $60,000 job and trying to save money and trying to invest and do this, and she can go get John over here who's 30 and running bottles every other night, scamming and doing whatever, guess what she's going to do? She's going to go hang out with that 30-year-old who's running the money because it's a fun time. But guess what? When you turn 30 and that fun time is out with those guys, now it's, oh, well, you should settle down. You should sit down. You should want a family. Why are you still outside?
Absolutely. Let me hold on, Rick. Let me so Mark, you see this? I was going to ask you to address that.
Let me address Lisa in this, okay? I'm in IT, right? Certain times, if you have a system that runs and it's a downgraded system, right? And there's an upgraded system in order for it to run on you want to upgrade your operation system. You can't just plug it in there. You have to reconfigure that system in order to deal with an upgraded system. You can't just plug it in there. And when you've been running off 87 octane and you want to go to 93, it's a different performance you're looking for. And I'm telling her at the end of the day, yeah, you can upgrade, but you got to upgrade yourself. You got to heal, number one. And when you want to deal with a better man, you got to treat if he's a better man, you got to treat a man better.
Absolutely.
You can't come with that hurt. You can't come with that resentment. You can't come with all that because he's not owed that. A good man wants to be treated good. He's not working his way up because he's already up there. So meet him where he's at. But no, if you have been dating certain type of men,
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry, my bad.
no, if you have been dating certain type of men, oh no, you fine. You have been dating certain type of men. You got to go back and look at the process and what got you there, what allowed you to date those type of men, what it done to you, and repair yourself so you can go to. Now you can always date up, but prepare. I know some homegirls, but they come from a place where I know women who conduct themselves in toxic relationships, and then they get with a man who's not toxic, and they bring that toxicity into the next relationship, and they destroy it.
Absolutely.
And they look at the man like something wrong with them. No, that's you. When you start, and some of us, you gotta understand, you done had all these bad situations. What's the common denominator?
Denominator.
You.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you something. Mark and I share the same barber. And one thing, and when I had the same barber for about probably 11, 12 years when I moved to Atlanta, all of a sudden my barber moved. And I had to find a new barber, right? And it took me a minute. A couple barbers just cut the same way. But then somebody looked at my head when they said, man, you need a new barber, Jane. This ain't what you used to. So he sent me to my new barber. And the first thing he did was he cut my hair with this natural pattern. You know what I'm saying? Some barbers are cut. If you get out of some people's barber's chair, their heads all look the same. You know, zip, get up. Zip, get up. But then you got some that'll see your natural pattern and they'll cut across the grain and get it right. And see, in a good relationship, when you've matured, when you've upgraded, as Mark has talked about, even though the last cat wasn't nothing, and we're not saying, and listen, women, I see some of y'all asking, women go through this too. We understand women. We mess y'all up. Sometimes y'all mess us up, but fortunately tonight we on the panel. So we get a chance to talk tonight, right? Because we got to listen to y'all for 3 weeks.
Well, see, that's, and not to cut you off, that's major. Let's talk about that as being one of the greatest issues in dating, right? It's the finger pointing. Because right then it was, oh, well, we go through this, well, we this, well, we that, well, we so and so. So it minimizes what you're saying as a man, right? So everything that you just said is valid. Us as men on this poll, we're probably shaking our heads like, yeah, we get you, right? There's 5 of us on here saying we get you. Yeah. But a woman can come into the chat, well, we go through this, well, we so-and-so, and we yada yada. That I think that was a great example right there in that moment of going back to what we first said, of you opening your mouth and saying something and somebody telling you that what you're saying is invalid.
That's it. And it's been said a few times tonight. And I'm trying to learn how not to respond to every comment, because I got a feeling one day this show is going to grow, and when it grows, then I won't be able to respond to all those people. So I'm trying not to deal with negativity, because like I said, tonight we're doing it this way. Next week we're going to have men and women on, and we're going to have a conversation. We're just going to communicate. And that's because I hear everybody over in the chat, Mark. Everybody over in the chat, George, saying communication is the key. Communication is the key. Well, hell, we talking. We're talking, and I'm sorry, y'all. I know sometimes I say stuff inside, but we're talking, and we're telling you how we feel. So if we tell you how we feel, baby, please don't tell us how we're supposed to feel. You ain't even gotta guess. I'm 49. Mark's 42. Rashad's 35. Jalen's 21. We all grown, right? So we can communicate. But that's that whole thing that Jalen. Come back on, Jalen, right quick. Talk to me, and you're gonna have a conversation. That's that whole thing Jalen talked about when you share, because y'all asked about being vulnerable. When we share our vulnerabilities with you, then you want to use that as something to feel like you need to fix it, or to use that as an end. Is that what you're not saying, Jalen? And you run across this at 21. Come on, talk to me. You're a Morehouse man. You go to school. You're college age. Jalen's dating kids our children's ages. Jalen, so you're running into this with the women you date.
Yeah, so I think the problem really actually stems from, when certain women come across like unimpressionable men. So, I mean, I'm 21 years old, but like I've had great parents, I had great examples in life. So it's kind of like like you can't teach me how to be loved, you know, like I already know, like I already have that, right? And like also, you know, to the point we said, like you can't teach me how to like receive love either. So I think oftentimes when you run into men, I think now they call them like high value men. It's like I'm not looking for you to, you know, teach me how to tie my shoes. I'm not really, you know, telling me I can't go out the house looking any every kind of way. Like, you know, I have my own systems in place that I live by. You know, I have my boundaries set like for myself, and like that's just what it is. So and especially at younger ages, I feel like they're really, you know, I tell people all the time, there's really no need for like compromise. If at this young age, if you're 21 years old, and the person that you're talking to right now is not doing the things that you want that person to do, or maybe it's not developed as you, we have no obligation to that person. So it's no reason for us to stay with you and be unhappy at this stage in life. And I feel like now a lot of like, I mean, my friends ask me all the time, just between me and my friends, is that I'm the catch in a relationship and I know it. Like, and you can't tell me that I'm not. So even if, you know, I may not be, like, I still come in with the mindset, like, I'm the catch. Like, I don't need you. You don't need me. We enjoy each other's time. Like, I'm not asked, it's not like a, you know, it's not a parasitic relationship. It's just a mutual relationship. I benefit from being around you. You benefit from being around me. But oftentimes, you know, oftentimes I think, you know, we kind of get into this, the 50-50 parts in like relationships, like you bring 50, I bring 50. And I feel like that's where the problem comes in at, because I mean, you still got to have 100% at the end of the day. So if I have 100 and like you have 100, then I think that's better for everybody, because like Rashad said, if until we come to that point, it's either I'm more interested than you are in me, and like that's just not what's about to happen. And I don't know, nowadays, you know, I feel like there are some women here that do like to be chased, and there are men that, you know, do pursue, but like I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna run all around the world for, you know, just to please you or make you happy. So
now I ain't gonna lie, I'm a pursuer, but if you're not matching energy, that pursuit's gonna stop pretty quickly, you know, at a certain point, you know, because like I
So
said, I'm happy to feel that.
echo this comment right here from Mr. Young, you have to learn how to love her specifically. Love her love language might be different, right? So I've just ran into that being transparent. I was just having that conversation with the young lady last week, right? I asked this one question. I said, when does your love language become a factor in with the person that you're dating? Because let's talk about it. If you need words of affirmation, right? A lot of times those have to come from people who, when you listen to them, their words mean something to you, right? Um, and what happens is people start using that, oh, my love language, my love language, my love language. Well, because I just like stuff and I like to shop, that does not mean that getting gifts is my love language. That just means I like stuff and I want to accumulate stuff, right? So a lot of times you'll run into people, not just women, you'll run into men too, that'll say, well, my love language, my love language. Your love language is what makes you feel completely whole. Because when we say, if I talk to a woman and she say, well, my love language is gifts, right? And I bring you a trinket, there might have been $5, $10 because I travel a lot to other countries, right? So it might just be some little thing that might say Thailand on it or something, right? That's a gift. But you might say, oh, okay, babe. Oh, thank you. And go on. So that's not your love language, because if it has to be a bag or a car or a house or a trip or whatever it is, and we say get specific, those things turn into wants. Your love language is a way that someone shows you affection and love and make you feel loved, right? Not how you choose to have someone to deal with you, right? So for me, my love language, I need words of affirmation from my woman. I need to, when I wake up in the morning, I need you to say, baby, you are great. You are a king. Go out into the world. You be great. Bring it home. Do your thing. That might set me off for the whole week. Just that small little conversation in the morning, right? So when we talk about this love language thing, we have to really be careful when we're talking about that with dating, because a lot of people use love language as a cop out, because when we say love language, people say, "Oh, well, this is specifically how I want to be loved." I'm gonna tell you right now, just and not being funny, 90% of the women that you're gonna come across are gonna say that gifts are their love language. 90%. And I'm just throwing a number out there that don't fact check me, don't Google it, but I'm just saying, and it's because you can manipulate that situation to get what you want out of it by saying, "Oh, this is my love language. This is how you should love me." Well, okay, that's great if that's your love language. But my next question is, and maybe you guys can answer it for me, how far are we into dating before your love language has to be met? I can't hear you. You're
Oh,
muted.
here, I got it. I got it. I think a person answered you, and I agree with what the Facebook user said. They don't have their name on here, but it says, "What is your love language?" in the initial conversation. I want to know. She's saying, but they want to know because if they're not going to be able to accommodate, then they need to go ahead and cut it right then. And I respect that, and I agree with the whole love language thing with what Mr. Young said. Um, but the thing is, if I'm required to love her on her love language, I think likewise she's required to love me on mine as well. And I think that just helps communication. I'm not going to say it's the only type of communication, but it is a buffer or a bridge. I'm confused about Lazarick Adams' statement. He said most men, you saw that? Unmute yourself, Mark.
Man, I seen that and I got a problem with it.
You talking about
I
this
got
one
a
right here?
problem. Yes, I got and I'm not attacking Mr. Adams. I'm attacking the comment. What men do, one of our worst things we
It's
do
traits, TRAITS
is
too.
attack other men with ideas that we not may not share by saying men, like he says, are showing many female traits,
Such as getting
especially
on
getting on
these
these
podcasts.
podcasts.
But he's on the
So
podcast.
right, not saying that is what we're doing. I'm not saying me because I'm on here volunteering, but in podcasts, what some men try to do. We're not talking about your Derrick Jacksons who finesse all that stuff. I'm gonna get on that type of stuff. But a lot of times we allow women to have insight in different forms to hear men talk in places they never would have heard men, have these type of discussions, and give them a diverse um, outlook of how men could feel. But and like he said, I'm an open book. They get the good, bad, ugly. Okay, yeah, they can. We all gonna get that, but if sometimes you have to get that incrementally, you got to build up to that. You can't just throw it out and then be like, yo, you deal with me or it's not. I'm keeping it real. But also you need to keep it strategic too.
Well,
Like
you can say you could have shut that down really quick, Mark, just by saying this. At what rate are men committing suicide in America?
Yeah.
with
And
in
why?
the highest rate is because they're not able to express themselves and talk.
And
It's
why?
this mindset of, oh, you been a little acting like a female. No, you're acting like a human, bro. That's why you have those emotions. That's
Exactly.
what you deal with. Those little things that why you feel like a lot of women feel like a lot of men don't know how to express themselves and talk is because that mindset right there. You got to heal.
Bless his heart. That's what I'm gonna say. Bless his heart. Come here, George. I'm sorry. Let's get George and Jalen back in this conversation. We're getting a little long winded. I'm getting them out. I'm keeping them out of the conversation. Because I want to get the younger people's perspective as well. Jalen, are you? George, are you there?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Here is the next question for you, George. It is. One lady asked me that. And I like this question. She says, "Since women are from Venus and men are from Mars, what do you feel are characteristics of a wholesome relationship? What do you think are some of the characteristics of that would make a wholesome relationship?" Ladies, I'm gonna ask that question for y'all too. Y'all tell us what in the chat. Everybody in the chat, we're gonna talk for about another 15 minutes. I'm gonna try to be out of here, but y'all give me another 15 minutes or so, and we're gonna try to um, uh, we'll get to that in a minute, Mr. Lazarick. But are you still on the podcast? I thought soft men or whatever didn't. Never mind. I'm not gonna be cynical like that. You own the podcast, but you're gonna talk about it. We get on and it's traits, TRAITS. I mean, it's not TRITS. But anyway, I'm sorry, James. Stop doing that. I gotta stop getting offended. I'm working on it. Y'all pray for me. Please pray for me. But yeah, what do you think some of the characteristics that build up a wholesome relationship?
Uh, I believe one of the characteristics is everybody says communication, but I think it's comprehension.
Okay.
More or less like actually understanding what your partner's saying and figuring out how to maneuver from that point. Also, support and what's the word I'm looking for? I just feel like in a relationship you can't lose that that spark. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
If you lose the spark, then the relationship's gonna start dying down. Everything slows down. But I do believe you must you have to respect your partner. To the that's number one. It's definitely respect and actually treat your partner how you want to be treated.
That sounds good. How about you, Jalen? What do you think are going to be some characteristics that, from a male perspective, that make a wholesome relationship?
I think honesty. I think if you just be honest with whoever you're trying to have a relationship with, I think a lot of things get done, as well as just accountability. I feel like a lot of times in relationships, when you try to explain your feelings, it can turn into a lot of like finger pointing, like necessarily like somebody, they can oftentimes feel like they're being attacked, or you feel like you're being attacked. So it's just also having the ability to think about it from like outside of your own perspective. I think that actually does facilitate some good environments in relationships to ensure that they're healthy. So,
Okay. Same question for you, my friend.
I missed the question. I'm sorry. Can you give
No
it to me?
problem. I got it for you. They said, since women are from Venus and men are from Mars, what do you feel are characteristics, just a couple of characteristics of a wholesome relationship from a male perspective?
Emotional intelligence is number one for me.
Okay.
That's really big. If people struggle with it, I read a book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Just read it through. It might take you twice to understand it.
What's the name of it?
In Emotional Intelligence 2.0, thing that might read it through, it might take. So that, and also just being honest, 1,000% honest and transparent, because we're all dealing with something, man. We all grew up with something that was lacking, or things happen with family, friends. It's just life, right? So I think we have to be able to not give each other such a hard time. Quit treating meeting and dating each other like interviews, and actually just go in it and say, okay, I'm just gonna see what's here, right? Instead of going in with this list of questions and it has to check these boxes and so, because certain boxes were checked for the fact that we even made it to a date like that, right? So just being open, and the emotional intelligence will take care, I think, of a huge percentage of that, because they'll be able to understand. Um, and then just being honest with yourself. If you're not ready to date, if you're not healed, if you're struggling in an area, maybe you communicate that to somebody that you're extremely interested in, and let them know, and then let them decide if they want to deal with it and work through that with you. Some may not, So just keep it simple like that. Just two or three things. Let's look at it and let's keep it moving.
All right. Same question for you, Mark. Did you hear it?
You said what?
Did you hear the same question for you? The question is, what are some characteristics what are some characteristics of a wholesome relationship
I
from
mean,
your perspective?
I'm gonna answer, but just as though I acknowledge other comment, I'm gonna agree with Larissa Adams again.
Okay.
He came back and made a comment. He said being honest, and I think that is transparency, vulnerability. Being honest is the only thing we can have. That transparency. If you see me for who I am, and me seeing you for who you are, if we don't have that what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Um, so transparency, honesty, emotional vulnerability. That's what I need. Like he said, emotional intelligence is what I need. Um, that's characteristics I'm looking for.
Wait a minute. We got grown black men on a podcast talking about emotional intelligence. That's not supposed to happen, is it?
I, you know, The thing is, what we have to do is we have to, as black men, stop the narrative of being hard equates to being a man.
That's
Like
true.
you gotta understand when you look at like other men before, men used to, all these women praying for us. Men used to pray for them families.
Yes, they did.
Men used to like that's what men were the spiritual leaders in their families, and they went to, and then regardless if you believe in God or not, whatever God you believe in, but men through a lot of different religions, tribes, even to this day, they're very heavy into spirituality, and they're the leaders for their families. And men, we had to get back to that vulnerability, not just the spiritual part, but women seeing us multifaceted and loving them, loving our families, and loving ourselves beyond what the social media has put out there as far as black men being uh, emotionally incapable, um, womanizers, you know, just when it comes to the black community, um, just painful. And that's not true. We got to start changing the narratives. We got to start having these forums where allow women to see us in our most vulnerable states.
Absolutely.
Uh, Hunt, like you do, like you asked me about men and suicide rates. Do you know even like when you talk about cancer? Do you know just when they like breast cancer? Do you know that prostate cancer is just as high? But men, we don't complain. We
Mm.
don't really show our vulnerability. We don't talk about what scares us, what hurts us.
Wow.
Sometimes women need to know that and understand, have the emotional intelligence to understand a man is being vulnerable with you. And actually, that's strength.
Yeah.
He's strong enough to be involved and not condemn him for that, saying oh girl, he's like a little, you know, shouldn't be
Right.
doing that.
That,
But
that's right. That's right.
anyway,
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Man, y'all. This has been a good conversation so far. It really has been a. Uh, uh, oh, let me see, Lazarus. He said, just to let all you brothers know, my comments are based off of how I choose to operate. Everyone operates differently. I choose not to wear a mask. How to start something is how you finish it. I feel that every man and woman should be their own authentic self, and if they can't be, that's not the one for you. And I agree with that. I don't think you said anything wrong. I think the only thing you said wrong was when you said to have these female traits and come on these podcasts. That was the only thing I think you said wrong. I don't think you said anything else wrong beyond that statement. I thought that was a kind of
can
a
I say this though?
sure.
Can I say this though? Muhammad Ali is one of the best, greatest. I mean, one of the best fighters of all time, right? But when he went to fight, he didn't fight everybody the same way. He had different strategies for different opponents. And I feel like even when we date, you can't date women the same way. It's like if you're a father, you can't raise your kid, two different kids, the same way. They're two different kids, two different mentalities. You got to talk to them different. If your approach is to be the same in every situation, sometimes you don't get the same results. At the end of the day, you got to know who you're dating in your approach. You can still be you. You still could be, Mr. Adams. You still gonna be you at the end of the day, but know your audience. Even a comedian gets on stage and they understand their audience at times, and they have to adapt. But just understand your audience. That's all I think I can say on that.
Yeah, I'm not. I was a little bit at first, but I'm cool with everything. I think everything has been good so far tonight. I really do. I think we need to continue to have these conversations. I think, uh, I think it gives us platforms to share our vulnerabilities. At the end of the day, I think we're all human. We all have our own sets of fingerprints. We're all different. You made a very key point, Mark, when you just said that you don't raise your two children the same. If you do, you set one child up for destruction, especially if that last child or the other child is different. My first two words easy. I mean, they were simple. They played sports. I mean, they was structured, everything. But that baby, different mindset, totally different mindset. She went a whole different direction. But she'll work. She made straight A's in school. She graduated 6 months early. You know what I mean? So, but they do their own thing, man. And that's what I'm trying to get us to understand is that we're all different. Uh, we all, ladies, we need healing. Some of you need healing. So like I think the most important thing I heard tonight, Rashad, is what Mark said. when he said, and before you got on the show, but he said, first thing you got to do is you got to break up with your past. And before you can go into a new relationship, and that's for us as well, fellas. That's why I wasn't going into a new relationship after my marriage, because I wasn't done with my past shit. I had to resolve my past. And if I couldn't resolve my past, it wouldn't have done me any good to move on and try to subject anybody else to what I wasn't healed from. And so that whole healing thing. And who determines when you're healed? You got to go through that process. It's not a 12-step process. It's not a 6-step process. It's your process. And whatever your process is, you go through it until you have gotten healed. Listen, I'm going to start winding this conversation down now. I'm trying to, we used to be on 2 hours. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't like sitting here that long. And plus, nobody's gonna go back and listen to a 2-hour show anyway. So we're gonna do it like this, and we're gonna wind it down. I want to first of all, George, we're gonna thank you for coming on today. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you were gonna give any women any advice about dating a young man 25 and under, what kind of advice would you give that person?
That's a good question. Advice I give ladies is to look like, they show you who you are. Most people show who they are from the start. So once you get those cues from a person, take that and actually, consider that. And if you're going to continue to move on, that's kind of on you. If you choose to continue messing with this person or dealing with this person and whatever takes place. But I definitely would say the first impression is a big thing. Dating nowadays. What they tell you is what they really mean.
Okay. Jalen, same question for you, sir. What would you, as a 21-year-old man, and you're dating, you're out here, well, I ain't gonna say sowing your wild oats, that'd be the wrong word to use. But what would you tell people that are in your current position right now?
I would just, echo what George said. Honestly and truly, a lot of people are pretty much open books, and a lot of people do wear their emotions on their sleeves. So even though you may think you have a person a certain way, they're always going to revert back to who they really are, especially in a period like if they're stressed or something comes up in their life. They're always going to go back to how they actually really honestly truly are. And if you genuinely care about that person, you do understand that, we are young, we are still figuring out how to live life. And I believe that learning is a lifelong thing. You're never done learning, so you can always learn things about yourself as well as other people. And I think someone made a comment earlier, you have the right to upgrade your life, but understand that we are also upgrading ourselves as well. So things are constantly changing for us, and sometimes when you're focused on upgrading yourself, you can't put all your energy into other things. So it's just be mindful of that, and also kind of be a listening ear, not necessarily unlicensed, or don't give unsolicited opinions.
Okay, that's good, man. I appreciate you for coming on, Jalen. I really do. You've added you and George both have added an interesting twist to this conversation, and I appreciate you. Y'all. My son is, of course, my son. My son's only a couple of years older than you are, and I admire this, Rashad. I admire this young generation, right? Because you know what? They will withdraw the right hand of fellowship from your butt so quick. They're not gonna stick around and deal with no bull stuff. You know what I'm saying, man? We'll sit there and dig and deal with it and all that kind of stuff, man. They on down the road motors, and they done moved on to the next one because they not gonna deal with any drama. Jalen said, "I'm the prize." And that's okay. I think both of us are the prize in a relationship, but I think that's what makes a relationship work, knowing that we're both the prize. But he also said, I can learn from you, you can learn from me. We're doing this together. So that's a very mature approach, and I appreciate that. I'm going to come to you, Rashad, next, because Rashad represents what Kevin Samuels used to call that high-value man, who's that six-figure cat that's in his mid-30s, no children, all these types of things, right? So his whole vibe, what's your vibe when it comes to this? What are you telling women that are dealing with you, Rashad, are dealing with cats like you?
Man, I've been through the gamut of women just because of having access, right? A lot of times as men, we don't get to experience a lot of things because we don't have access, whether it's the network or the net worth or, just even the knowledge. And a common denominator within it is, I always say, is an unrealistic expectation of what I should be doing or who I am to you.
Mhm.
Um, and that just comes from a place where, you have women who will come in and they want to live a certain lifestyle and they want to do certain things. And so they feel like, if I'm around you and I'm doing these things and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, now I deserve access to that. Or, you have the women who are like, I feel like I shouldn't have to do nothing. You should just give me the access just because I'm pretty and I'm me. So, you have the gamut of it where, I've even now, to be transparent, dealing with a woman who makes 3 times more than what I make, right? And everything is usually fine, but we have a lot of things sometimes we have to kind of pull back on because she's still a woman. Regardless of what she makes, she's still a woman. And it's not a gender role that I'm looking for. It's just you have to put yourself in a place for me to be able to protect you, right? So when you look at, let's just go into nature. When you look at how animals do with their young, right? The mother gets extremely agitated when, her young are going off and they're doing whatever. And it's not that she doesn't want them to explore or do whatever it is. It might just be in that situation she can't best protect them. And sometimes we get in these places to where you're dealing with women who will do things and putting you in situations where you can't best protect them or you can't best do these things that you need to do. I'm a very high believer in being a provider. My father was one. I saw that, but I also saw a strong, super educated, um, very highly educated, very respected in the state through education, black woman who did a lot. And the example that I had was two parents who came in that didn't have much growing up, who put in the work, who got together and didn't say, well, I'm the leader of this household. I make this, you need to so and so, or, well, I make more than you, husband, you need to so and so. And no, they got together and they did what they needed to do. So it's I can't get really specific in what you'll run into and what we're dealing with because it changes from time to time, right?
I know
And
that.
like someone said, there's someone sending their representation the first couple times you deal with them anyway. So you're not really seeing the real person until later on. You know, it's all cool when she's first coming over and she's picking up dirty clothes and throwing stuff in the washer. It's a show. Now, 6 months later down the line, are you still going to be doing it? Or are you going to be cussing me out because you're like, well, damn, you need to pick your shit up and why are you like this and what the hell's going on? You see what I'm saying?
I know that.
So I tell men this just because my fall into being a higher earner didn't come till I was after 30,
Okay.
and I was able to date through those late 20s, early 30s, and not really have that financial access. Women are the same at each level. What they're willing to do for you changes as those commas and those numbers change. And we'll have this argument all day, every day, that a woman will say the money doesn't matter. I want so and so and yada yada, right? And it doesn't matter, but there's no way. And I guarantee you, we could go catch every married man, take their wife to the side, and say, "Who's your favorite celebrity? What man do you think is super fine in the world?" And I guarantee you, it's going to be somebody famous, and they're going to be wealthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are just kind of things that any guy's gonna go through. I don't even want to say because guys are high earner. Mark's a high earner, so he goes through certain things that we might talk about that I've never came across. He's gone through things before, told me about them, and then 2 years later, I end up in that same situation. Now I'm like,
And,
oh,
and
okay.
and
Now,
that's why, but not to cut you off, but that's why we have these conversations. That's why when I ask you a question, I ask you to answer it from your perspective. I don't ask you to answer it from Mark's perspective. You feel what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
that way we share ideas. But we're about to get out of here. Mark, give me your parting thoughts before we get out of here. And Rashad, I super appreciate you. Jalen, George, I super appreciate you. Like I said, but Mark, go ahead and give me your parting thoughts, and then I'm going to give my final remarks.
Hey,
We out of here.
mine gonna be real simple. If coming from my age group, just have a little bit more humility. All of us, we ain't spring chicken, but at the same point in time, we get to points where we should have a focal point of what we want out of relationships, and go for those things. I told you earlier, date what you need, not what you want. Okay, and understand that. And then when you have a last podcast, I told you, um, and when you have love, you fall in love by chance, but you stay in love by choice. So at the end of the day, make the choices of dating the things you need. When you have love, make the choice of staying into it and put the work that it takes to maintain it. That's all I got to say at this age when you get there.
And what you said is key at this age. And answer your. You can only have. We only live in our lives. I wear a size 12 shoe. I ain't trying to put on a size 10. Won't fit.
At all.
Not trying to
Won't
put on a
fit.
size 13. It's gonna be too big. So I'm just gonna ride my. Listen, thank you guys for our conversation, brother Lazarick. I'm gonna have to get you on the show because I'm enjoying your comments from the side, and you're actually saying the same thing we're saying, but we're just still in the early dating stages. So yeah, y'all keep listening. We're gonna continue to do this next week. We're gonna do it again. But I will mix the panel up next week. We're gonna have males and females, and we'll have a whole different angle of the conversation. Jalen, I really do appreciate you, sir. I know you got homework and stuff to do, probably, or get work or something to do. George, I know you got to go take care of your business tomorrow, and I appreciate you all for being a part of the show. Those that are available tomorrow night at the same time, I am doing another show, and it is I do different segments. I do rebounding from rock bottom. I do the plot to destroy black families. I do different things like that. Tuesday flow, different things. But tomorrow we're going to do a plot to destroy black families again. And like I said, I got a professor coming on. He teaches Pan-African Studies and Black American History at Sacramento State. So we're going to have this conversation tomorrow night. And a lot of stuff that you're talking about tonight, Rashad, and that was a little bit outside the reasons why we dating is like it is. We'll talk about those things tomorrow night. Some of the systemic issues, all that kind of stuff. So,
Hey, can I ask something?
sure.
I think I can a request. We need to have a show, and the women can be bystanders. But I feel like Mr. Adams. Come on, I think some men we need to talk through
Oh, no doubt.
various mindsets as men, understanding that even in this whole alpha mentality, or this is what men do, or whatever, whatever. Man, listen, not every predator hunt the same,
No,
and
sir.
all of them can still be lethal, right? You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tweet
So
that.
uh, at the end of the day, a shark don't hunt like an eagle.
No.
It's just different in different environments. But I want men to understand it's okay to be who you are in your environment. All I'm saying, Mr. Adams, is understand what you're fighting sometimes. Understand your opponent, and with your technique and style, know that changing it up is just maybe it's your delivery, maybe it's your approach, maybe it's your tone, and you still can have the same end state. End state. Be who you are consistently, but at the end of the day, know your opponent. That's it.
Please. Please, please, please. Rashad, man, I appreciate you, man, for your time tonight, man. I really do. Mark, I appreciate you for making the connection. Jalen, you'll be
Damn.
back. You will be back, Jalen, because you're gonna be our 20-something-year-old every now and then. George, you'll be back as well as long as you consent to come back. And this was good. Overall, I enjoyed this conversation, and I think it was fruitful. I think it was fruitful. If we listen through, sometimes we got a tendency to listening to, and we don't listen through. But I want us to learn how not to listen, just to listen through, but just to listen to, and then we can really have this effective communication. Don't sit up here and holler about we need to communicate, and we're talking. But you still saying we need to communicate. But you want me to do text message or something? I don't have your phone number. All right, so let's communicate and let's continue to do this. Y'all know how I ended. Every week when this show is over with, I say the same thing. I say, what's the word I say? The world is changing, But my question for you is, why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good